so funny. This week, being like New Year's week, has been like the greatest struggle that I can remember as far as organizing when I need to grill because Costco's closed tomorrow.
Oh my goodness. It's hilarious. It's not surprising, but it's hilarious.
Yeah.
All right. So. Oh goodness. No, we're not going to start like that.
Do you want to do the basic introduction of why Aaron's not why Aaron's not here, but what we're doing here?
Right. So what are we doing?
Yeah. So
why are we here?
We're gonna make fun of Aaron
Why
when she's not around.
100%. So basically, Evan and I we're intimidated by Erin and her vast knowledge and prowess, and so we've decided to do episodes without her. No, so for those of you that missed the end of last week's podcast, basically, what we're going to start doing is we're going to have longer form episodes that are going to be about an hour. We're going to try to keep them trimmed to an hour. That's going to have all three of us, or we'll most often have all three of us. And then on the off weeks, we're going to have what we're going to, for now, call rapid fire episodes that the main intention is for usually two of us. It may be Evan and Aaron. It may be Evan and myself. Maybe Aaron and I. Who knows? We may do a solo sometime. Where the intention is to take 30 minutes, quickly get in, get out, answer some questions that we get often. Maybe dive into a certain theme quickly that we have, but really try to be as focused and as kind of honed in as we can be. On something that's quick, 30 minutes, so we can bring you guys weekly content, but also not overwhelm you guys with a lot of time spent listening. So this week we've got 3 or 4 questions that we get a lot and has been asked to us, and so we're going to try to give as quick as we can.
We'll try.
We'll try. Give quick answers, but we are going to keep this capped right around that 30-minute mark, just so that we're not rambling too much. So, without further ado, and I'll talk about this later, but I'll bring it up now. Just if you have questions that are like this that you think would be interesting, send them to that email account, prtycast, prtycast, @gmail.com, or write them on the board, bring them into Evan or Aaron and I, and we'll try to make sure we get them in the mix, so that way they're things that you guys can have us kind of dive into more. Any thoughts on that, Evan?
Where do you want to start?
Where do we want to start? Let's go with. So I've had some people before ask, "What are focus words?" So let's start with that. What, to you at least? Let's see. We'll start with you. What are focus words to you?
Specifically within the gym.
Yeah. So we'll use the gym first. What are they? Do you have any, and why? How do you implement them?
I would almost consider them like a like motivational, stay on track type personal cues. Mm-hmm. That's how I view it. Is that how you would define it?
I like that idea of like a personal cue.
Yeah.
So like we as coaches,
it's my focus word or your focus word,
right? Like so we as coaches, we use cues a lot. Whether it's you're in a squat and it's sit back or glutes, whatever you need to say to help fire, and it's a verbal cue that athlete or that lifter or client can use to help accomplish the task. And so like for me, like I'm big on focus words. I'm big on motivational things. There are things that do help me. Big on quotes. We could probably do a whole episode on just quotes in general, and we probably will.
I personally like quotes more than focus words. Mm-hmm. Whenever I'm training or I'm in the gym, I would say that most of my training is centered around almost a feeling versus what I'm telling myself. I don't really have. It may sound ridiculous. I don't have many thoughts when I'm training in the gym.
That's probably a good thing. I mean, it helps you focus on the task at hand.
Yeah, I view it as almost very, very intuitive, very instinctual, feeling based. Gotcha. Not necessarily a word. If I'm training with other people, it's a little bit different. If you tell me something, I may focus on that more.
Right.
And that may be a focus word that I use for that day. And I don't necessarily need to use it any other time, just whenever you seem to, like, hey, my knee position, head position.
Right.
You'll say certain things that I just don't, I can't see myself in a mirror, and you don't necessarily need to be doing that with big lifts, but
right.
A trusted coach's eye goes a long way.
Yeah.
So I would say that focus words for me are almost temporary, but for me, it's more of an instinct. If I don't feel something, I don't just like, oh, I'm going to give up for the day. I don't go as hard that day on that exercise. If I don't feel like I can control, some things are extremely fast. Like there's not much, it may seem like there's a lot of control in a 100 miles an hour fastball, but you're throwing it as hard as you can.
Right.
That's how lifting is for me.
Yeah,
it's a certain degree of control depending on what you're doing. So if I don't feel good, I'll change the program. I'll change the exercise. I'll change my stance. I'll change the bar.
Right.
I'll instead of doing heavy stuff, I'm doing speed stuff, or I'll change to reps. So for me, that's it's a little different answer, but
no, for sure. And I think whether or not you find either focus words or quotes effective will entirely depend on your level of self-talk. So I personally talk to myself a lot. And you can make that sound as crazy as you want. You do it too, so don't be judging. And when I say you, I mean most of you people listening.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think a lot of people do actually.
And that's okay. I think I'm
probably the weirdo.
For me, like if I'm in the gym and I'm getting tired, Joe Rogan, Jocko, like and since we're not using explicit terms on these podcasts, they call it like the B word voice in their head, which I think we all have. It's that voice in our heads that tell us that it's okay to quit. And there are times, I will say this just as a caveat, there are times that yes, it's time to just put it down and walk away from something.
Like I just admitted that I do that in my own training.
Right. Then there are times when the voice in your head telling you you're tired is just your body or your mind being tired and not actually needing a break. And sometimes, and that's okay. And so in those times, in my opinion, that's when having something in your mind, a word or a phrase or a quote that is important, that will help you go, okay, in a position of, in a time when I was less stressed, in a time when I had a quieter mind, I made these choices and decisions. Then now that I'm in the heat of the moment, I'm tired, I want to give up, I want to quit, I can think back to that quieter time, that time when I was maybe a little more sane or insane, however you want to look at it, and I came up with this phrase that helps me keep moving. So whenever I was training for fights, it was always, finish the round. It was always get the last takedown. And so, take us back, in on top, in on punches. Those were things that as I'm going through a training session and I'm tired, my coach would either say to me or I would say to myself, because that's what I wanted. When I was in high school and I was trying to make varsity and I'm running and I'm getting tired and I want to slow down or I want to start walking, I'd ask myself, how bad do you want to be on varsity? How bad do you want to start? How bad do you want to play? And that would be I'm running down the street telling myself, how bad do you want to play? And I'm sure if anybody could hear me, they would think I'm a complete crazy person. But there's a good example of taking a phrase or a word or something that's important to you. And for some people, that could be a family member's name. That could be a goal that you're working towards, a vacation, or whether it's a work thing. Like there can be something in your life that you can find, that you can tap into, that will help evoke a motivated response.
I think the motivation part, everyone's motivated by different things, and sometimes it's temporary. I can hear a song, I can see a movie, someone could bring something up in a gym, and I can see a picture that reminds me of something. that moment can motivate me for months. So whatever that is, it could be a word, but I don't. A lot of my training nowadays is like it's instinctual, but it took me a long time to get there.
Right.
Like I really trust. I trust how I feel. I'm not always banged up. I don't have injuries. If I was all messed up, that would be a little bit different. I would say, Jared, you need to coach me. You need to just watch me train because it's not working. I need an outside eye. But I use it, focus words in like gut check moment times.
Right, exactly.
And for me, it's not that often because I'm not necessarily training for one specific goal like you are. But if I was, I would probably use them more often to get me a little bit more motivated, a little bit more often to do one specific thing that I don't necessarily want to do.
Right, and it can be as simple as having a reason to get off the couch and go take that 10-minute walk, or a reason to get up and to get out of bed. Like I've got a little sign over my bed that says, get your butt out of bed.
My favorite is I gave this to somebody one time. I didn't know what I was doing at the time. I wasn't trying to negatively motivate them. I was trying to be positive. But a client years ago was having a hard time finishing a workout, and I said, what helps me sometimes? I said, don't be pathetic.
Yep.
And I wasn't telling this client to not be pathetic or that he was being pathetic. I was saying that's what I tell myself.
Right.
And guess what? I smash through stuff whenever I feel like that. Don't be pathetic.
Yep.
I'm in a gym right now.
Sometimes your feelings are lying to you.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm in a gym right now. I'm just working out.
Yeah.
Things could be a little harder.
Oh, 100%.
So that's exactly what I tell. But it stayed. It resonated with him for years. And he told stories to other people that told me years later. I didn't even know the impact that I had at the time. It's hilarious.
Awesome. All right. We are doing a great job of being quick and concise. So, Evan, next question.
Okay.
What you
got? First, yes or no, and then you can give a why.
Okay.
Should you or should everyone be doing specifically barbell back squats?
No.
Okay. Now why?
Okay. So, I'm going to say something that, and it's fine. You can at me. You can come. It's fine. It might make some people mad or upset. Personally, I do not think that if you are not a competitive strength sport athlete, a power lifter, even a strongman, honestly, a weightlifter, like an Olympic barbell lifter, if you're not in a sport that mandates a barbell to compete, you do not have to do anything with a barbell. So therefore, no, a barbell back squat is not a mandatory exercise for anyone. A straight barbell exercise, it doesn't care if squat, bench, deadlift, doesn't matter. A barbell in your hands is not mandatory for anybody. Your body doesn't care. And if you're training for an outcome that's outside of a sport that is specific to a barbell, there is nothing that says you have to have a barbell in your hands or on your back for you to get where you want to go.
So now that we have the absolutes out of the way, would you agree to a certain extent or disagree that a squat pattern is important to do?
100%.
Okay. Yeah. I absolutely agree.
So I'm going to steal this, and we talked about this a little bit before. I'm going to steal this from John Russin. He's a great follow. Super smart dude.
And he's entertaining.
He tries to make training a lot of fun. The things, and I don't always agree with everything on this list, but the fundamental movement patterns that he talks about being things that you need in your daily life: squat, hinge, lunge, pull, push, and carry. Those are things, activities that he feels are the most important. And in general, I would agree with that list. So you should be able to squat in some way, shape, or form. And the thing is that like we like to think about squats like in the weight room. And when I was in college, I had an exercise physiology class that was kind of the practical aspect of it. And we were giving clients with specific diseases, and we had a program for them. My client had osteoporosis. one of the things that she talked about being able to do in our program that she wasn't able to do before our program was getting off the couch without having to use momentum. She was able to squat off the couch and get up without having issues. We've had clients before that have talked to us about being able to get off the toilet without having to use the handrails. And when they had to use all their strength to get up, but now they're able to stand right up, and that's a squat. There are people that have gotten, and as a law enforcement officer, I've responded with firefighters with lift assists because people can't get off the toilet. And that's an unfortunate truth. And so, yes, everybody should squat. Everybody should be able to squat. And that can be a very wide range, but the pattern of itself should be done and should be worked towards. If you can't do it yet, move towards it.
It's a movement pattern that if you can do it, great. If you can do a barbell back squat, a barbell is fairly cheap. It's a great tool. If you're healthy enough to do it and you're strong enough to do it, it's really simple. Like your tier 1 athlete or client that, you can use that tool. If you can do a barbell back squat, you can do any squat. Most people are not necessarily fit to do that task. So we're going to be doing different forms of a squat. And some people are so broken that they can't squat at all. You have to build them up to be able to do a high box squat, an assisted squat, an assisted lunge pattern.
Mm-hmm. So that client that I was talking about, we started out having her do grab onto the squat rack, and she would work on her body position and her knees and legs being perfect, and she would hold on to the squat rack and squat down until as low as she could, and until we could get her to parallel. And then we worked on a little bit below that depth until she was able to then do that on a box, until she was able to do that without using her hands to support herself. And that was a progression.
I always think smart progressions.
100%.
Everything's a win if you use smart progressions. If something doesn't work, it's not a negative thing. It's going to teach you a lot as a coach. You just take a step back or go into a little bit different direction. That's how I view training. Yesterday, that's what I did with one lady. The first half of the session was a workout, and then after that, she told me about an issue, and I thought, well, I only have a little bit of time, and I'm gonna mess around with a few exercises, see how they feel, and then I'm going to use that to plan the next session, the next session, and the next session. It's pretty hard to do that if you have big groups, but
oh yeah, for sure.
You think we touched on the squat enough?
I think so.
Okay.
I think it kind of blends into the next couple questions that we have had before. And so do you want to go on to the I mean, it's going to apply. Bench is going to apply the same. If you wanted to talk about that more, or
I don't think that it's the same thing. You don't need to be in a fully pronated position with a barbell. If you can do that, great. It's a great tool. The barbell is an excellent tool.
That could honestly apply. So just in general, we already kind of hit on it, whether any kind of barbell movement, squat, bench, deadlift, anything, overhead press, like you said earlier, the barbell is a tool. Yeah. So there are guys that talk about, if you go to a lot of or some higher end gyms, or if you even come into ours, we have a lot of bars.
Yeah.
We have a wide range of tools in our toolbox because not everything. So we're in the podcast studio also happens to be where a good amount of my tools are. And so I'm looking over there, and not every job I want to use my impact driver on. Sometimes you need to use a regular screwdriver, or you need to use a different tool. And so the barbell is generally the workhorse of a gym.
If you're fit enough to use it.
Right. I may not be able to, every job doesn't mean that every client needs to use it.
Yeah.
Just because it always has been doesn't mean that that's what it always should be. And the goal shouldn't be, I need to get them ready so that they can use a barbell.
It's the benefits of the strength or the muscle mass that you're getting from the exercise versus the skill for the sport you may need that strength for.
Right.
So I think that the tool allows the coach in the right hands, to progress that client or athlete as fast as you can. What happens if you have an athlete that was doing barbell squats and their shoulders, not necessarily injured, but kind of banged up.
Yep.
Do you choose to use a barbell with that athlete? You can, but I probably wouldn't if I had another tool.
Right. And that's the thing. And this is the last point we'll hit on this, and then we'll move to probably our last question because we're already moving through time. But if you already go to PRT, that's awesome. If you don't, and you walk into a facility or you're talking to a personal trainer or you see something that someone says online, and if that person ever insists on making you do a certain exercise, and ask why. Like, I'm always a fan of, if you're a client, ask why. Every time. Like, I don't care if the entire time that I'm coaching you, you're asking me why all the time. That's fine. Like, I'll explain to you why, because I want you to understand the reasoning behind things. And every client should, every trainer should have that mentality and that approach. But if you come in and their only intention is to get you on a barbell, and that's all they ever use, and you don't think you're ready for it, you should probably either ask a lot of questions and maybe they'll figure it out, or look other places. Like, look around, see what your options are, because it's a tool, but it's not the end all be all. And if you're not prepared for it, it can be something that A, can set you back, and B, definitely not be the best, most optimal way to continue forward.
There are a lot of ways around training for strength without using one specific tool, unless you as a coach need to use that tool, and for whatever reason, it could also be a diagnostic tool.
Right.
But it's great if the person is fit enough to use that tool. If not, you have to get a little creative. You have to, maybe get outside your comfort zone, or read a new book or something, or talk to a new coach.
I have to read and continue my education as a trainer.
Yeah, it's a process. Yeah. Do you want to go into favorite exercises? What's your favorite exercise, Jared?
So my favorite exercise, so for myself, my favorite exercise is still deadlift. I love deadlifting. It's going to be my favorite probably forever. Maybe not. I used to love squatting.
Is it because you enjoy the movement, or you like to reap the rewards of the benefits that it gives you?
Both, honestly. I just enjoy the movement. I sumo deadlift. Again, come at me. It's fine. There's some people out there who don't like sumo deadlift. That's cool. I like the technical aspect of it, and I like the technique breakdown of it, and every time I watch Steffi Cohen pull 500 pounds for a triple, I still want to burn my shoes and just go, I'm never going to deadlift again. But if you guys don't know who that is, look her up. She is an incredibly strong, and she's incredibly smart and she knows her stuff.
Yeah. She's a physical therapist as well.
Yeah. Yep. She's a doctor. What about you? What's your favorite exercise?
If I had to boil it down, I would say it's some form of a squat. And I would say that it's some form of a barbell squat.
That's hilarious, because for the longest time we used to fight you so hard in getting barbell back squat in our program.
Well, part of it is if I squat too much, too often, too heavy, it creates pain. Right. Either in my hips or in my neck, which affects my life. Right. It affects my sleep. It affects how I coach people. So there is too much of a good thing. And the squat is it for me.
Right. I agree. That right there is the perfect transition to what it will probably be our last question and how we'll wrap everything up. So you made the comment about if you squat too much, it will negatively affect your life outside the gym. So if you have to, now, obviously, you should hopefully never pick this unless you are competing. But if you have to choose, what is the most important thing, basically? Is it inside the gym or outside the gym? What's more important, I guess? What is, in terms of overall either progression or overall health?
So I'm going to say two things. I would say that my life outside the gym is more important. But I would also admit that I need what I can get from the gym for outside the gym. For what I want to do outside the gym,
Right.
I know that inside the gym, I get the things that I need inside, and that's the only place I can get it.
Right.
I can't go on walks and build muscle like the muscle mass that I have. Going on walks is not going to help me become as lean or as muscular or as strong as I am right now.
Right.
It doesn't matter how steep the hills are.
Nope.
It doesn't matter. So I need what the gym can give me, but it's still not as important as my life outside the gym. Is that a good enough answer?
100%. I mean, I'm going to cheat and basically say both. Because the thing is that like you can't have one be overshadowing the other and make optimal progress. So there's a few things that we've looked at and talked about, and I don't remember the exact number now that we've talked about it, but something around 40%. And I'm sure there's probably a new study that disputes this number because it's kind of hard, some tracking and depending on how you define obese. 40% of the United States of adults are obese. And that's just obese. That's not counting overweight. That's not counting other categories. But clearly, we have an issue with some balance. And so the thing is, though, is that if I have a perfect program, a perfect coach, a perfect gym setup, and I do everything I'm supposed to do inside the gym, and I do nothing positive outside the gym,
you're going to have a rough time.
I'm going to have a rough time. Progress is going to be slow. My ability to recover is going to be very difficult. And it's not going to get me where I want to go. And so it requires a balance of those two, because my outside the gym life has to complement and work in concert with my in the gym. And if you are not seeing the progress that you think you should be seeing, usually you need to take a look and go, okay, what am I doing outside the gym? What can I control outside the gym? What can I fix?
Those are some of the toughest conversations because
100%.
Trust me, I live in a gym.
Yeah.
I want all the answers to be in the gym, but they're not all there. A
Well,
lot of the things that you need to be doing, and sometimes I want you to be in the gym working as hard as you possibly can. But if you're not doing things outside the gym, like if you're only sleeping 3 or 4 hours a night, can you sustain that? The things you do in the gym, they're not going to benefit you in a way that they should be. If you're not, if you're eating 3 Twinkies and a protein shake after, as your post-workout shake, you're probably never going to be as lean as you want to be.
No, and the thing is
and
that
you're eating
like
pizza for lunch, and
you
know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. We can create all kinds of wonderful, like, so what was the other stat we looked at? It was like 18%, is that what you said, have gym memberships?
Oh, 14%.
14%. So 14% of the country that...
Oh, right now, it's less than that.
Oh, I'm sure it's less than that. And that's not, obviously, that doesn't take into account the people that have home gyms, of course, but...
I think as of 2018.
Yeah, right. And so you're talking about still a small percentage of people that are making a concerted effort to go to the gym. Now, I understand a total, complete fitness package is not only built in the gym, but there are a lot of benefits to the gym that help my outside the gym life. And that's what it should be. Your in the gym experience should help support your goals and your aspirations for your long-term life and health and happiness outside the gym.
I firmly believe that it helps you as a coach. And if you can understand that and you appreciate life outside the gym is more important.
Yeah. I mean, like, so if
we're in the gym, we live in the gym
100%.
and we understand that. We know that our clients, I have a lot of clients that don't really care and they don't really want to be in the gym. They just trust that the benefits that I'm going to give them from the gym, from my coaching, they just have to trust the process, and they honestly don't want to come in the gym.
And the thing is that they know that what they do in the gym has a carryover into their real life, and they've seen the results and the benefits therein. And so that puts a lot of pressure on us as coaches to make sure that I know what my client wants out of this and what they want to do outside the gym. I'm not going to take a person that wants to get better at rock climbing and put them on a bodybuilding program where they're going to add a lot of mass.
Yeah,
because
that's the opposite of what they need.
Right. We want to work on building strength.
Grip strength.
We want to work on building endurance. We want to work on building super low rep, high intensity percentage-wise, because we want to make sure we want to build as much strength as we humanly possible without adding any mass. Same thing if you're talking about building up fighters, or you're going to take somebody that
somewhere body weight matters.
Right. You're going to take somebody that has aspirations of, running a marathon, or you're going to take somebody that has whatever their goals are. The training should complement that with what they want for the rest of their life. And even if that is getting out of bed and not hurting anymore, awesome. We can fix that. We can do something about that. So to tie all that together, because we have already burned through it. So to tie all that together, one of the things I wanted to close with, for those of you guys that are listening, we want especially these questions to be as much as we can be to be provided by you guys. We will mix in things that we hear, or things that we see in the industry, but we want a lot of them to be questions that you guys have specifically, so we can answer them and help provide that. So one of the questions I have for you guys is, what are some things that you guys struggle with inside the gym, outside the gym? And what are things that you guys want to learn about? What are things that you want to know about what Evan does outside the gym or inside the gym? What are things you want to know about?
Or my struggles.
Right. What are things that you guys want to know? Yeah. What are things that we struggle with? What are things that you guys struggle with that you're maybe scared to ask? If you guys send it to the email account, like I said, it's prtycast@gmail.com, prtycast@gmail.com. All of those questions will be read anonymously. I'm not going to put names to it. I may not even tell Evan or Aaron who wrote it. So you guys can write these things, not have any fear of, being outed or anything like that. If it's a question you think is a dumb question, that's okay. We want to be able to start answering some of these questions and do it in either a quick format like this, or if it's a question we think deserves its own podcast, either in a long form or even like this, we will dedicate full episodes to those. Any closing thoughts? Anything like that, Evan?
Mm-mm.
All right. Well, that was episode 1 of Rapid Fire. Woo!
It's a wrap.
That's a wrap. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of PartyCast. Check us out on your favorite podcasting site. And remember, each episode is also available on YouTube. Thank you for joining us on this adventure, and we will see you next time.